For years, Canada sent one clear message to the world: we want more people. The doors were wide open, the targets were ambitious, and everyone took notice. Well, that era is officially over. The great Canadian immigration boom has hit a brick wall, and the drawbridge is being pulled up. Stick with me for the next few minutes, and I will break down the government's restrictive new plan, the exact dates these changes are happening, and what this shocking new reality means for every permanent resident, student, and worker who was hoping to build a life in Canada. This isn't just a tweak to the rules, it's a fundamental reset of the entire system. For the better part of a decade, Canadian immigration was all about one thing: growth. Year after year, the targets climbed, leading to a plan that was supposed to hit a peak of 500,000 new permanent residents in 2026. That plan is now officially history. The federal government has slammed the brakes, kicking off what can only be called Canada's Great Immigration Reset. So why this sudden U-turn? It's a direct response to the pressure that's been building across the country. The huge influx of people, both permanent and temporary, put an incredible strain on housing, healthcare, and infrastructure. This reset isn't just some high-level policy paper collecting dust. It's having immediate and, for many, devastating consequences. The changes are squeezing three main groups: permanent residents, temporary residents, and international students. Let's start with permanent residency, the ultimate goal for hundreds of thousands on the Canadian journey. Their target of 500,000 permanent residents abandoned. For 2025, the target has been slashed to just 395,000. It then drops to 380,000 in 2026 and down again to 365,000 in 27 and 28. That's a 21% drop from the previous high, pushing immigration levels to their lowest point since 2019. The message couldn't be clearer. The competition for fewer PR spots is about to get incredibly fierce. Next up, temporary residents, the workers and students who make up a huge part of Canada's newcomer population. For the very first time, Canada is putting a hard cap on this group. In 2025, the country welcomed about 674,000 new temporary residents. But after that, the number falls off a cliff. For 26, that number gets slashed by nearly 43% to just 385,000. The government's stated goal is to get the total number of temporary residents down to less than 5% of Canada's population by the end of 2027. For anyone who saw a temporary permit as a reliable stepping stone, that stone is quickly sinking. And then there is a group that might be getting hit the hardest: international students. For years, the student program was seen as the most popular and accessible path to a future in Canada. That path is now a minefield. First, the government slapped a national cap on study permits, with even more cuts planned for 25 and 26. Just getting a study permit is now a numbers game. Second, the financial requirements have been jacked up. Students now have to prove they have way more money to support themselves, which is a barrier that will simply disqualify many. But the biggest blow is to the post-graduation work permit, or PGWP. This was the crucial link between studying and staying. Eligibility for this permit has been narrowed, and for many college and undergraduate programs, that automatic right to a PGWP is just gone. On top of that, the ability for spouses of many students to get an open work permit has been severely restricted. This isn't just a rule change, it fundamentally breaks the promise Canada made to hundreds of thousands of students. Come here, study, work, and build your life. For a huge number of people, that promise is now broken. Beyond just slashing numbers, the government has completely rewired the engine of economic immigration. The rule book has been thrown out, and the criteria for what makes a successful candidate have changed overnight. The single biggest change is in the express entry system. For years, getting a Canadian job offer backed by a labor market impact assessment was like a golden ticket. It gave you a massive number of points and practically guaranteed you would be invited to apply for PR. Well, that golden ticket is gone. As of December 24, the government scrapped those extra points for a job offer. The thinking is that this will cut down on fraud and force the system to focus on human capital. Your education, language skills, age, and most importantly, your Canadian work experience. In its place, category-based selection is now king. Express entry draws aren't just about having the highest score anymore. Now they are about your specific job. The government is laser focused on inviting people with experience in a few high-demand sectors: healthcare, STEM, skilled trades like construction and transportation. If your resume doesn't scream one of those categories, your chances of getting an invitation through Express Entry have plummeted, no matter how high your score is. And to make things even tougher, the Provincial Nominee Programs, or PNPs, have also had their wings clipped. PNP allocations have been cut by roughly half, falling from over 110,000 nominations a year to around 55,000. Provinces now have far fewer invitations to give out, and they are being told to focus on nominating people who are already living and working in that province. It's all part of a new In Canada focus designed to transition people who are already here instead of bringing in new talent from abroad. I know this is a lot to take in, and it's understandably overwhelming. The entire landscape of Canadian immigration has been redrawn in just a few months. If you are getting value from this breakdown and want to stay ahead of these massive changes, do me a favor and hit that button and subscribe to the channel. The rules are changing at lightning speed, and we'll be here tracking every single update to help you make sense of it all. Understanding when all this is happening is critical. This isn't some far-off proposal. It's happening right now in stages. While the first tremors began in late 2024 with the removal of job offer points from Express Entry, 2025 is the year the ground truly started to shake. This is the year the permanent resident target officially dropped to 395,000, and the new temporary resident cap was set at about 674,000. The tough new financial rules for students and the cap on study permits also kicked in, starting the major squeeze on international education. 2026 is when things get even tighter. The PR target dips again to 380,000, but the big story is the temporary resident cap, which plummets to just 385,000. That nearly 43% cut we talked about. This is also when the halved PNP allocations will really start to bite, as provinces adjust to their much smaller quotas. There is one small silver lining though. Starting in 2026, the government plans to launch a fast-track program to help transition up to 33,000 temporary workers who are already in Canada to permanent residency. Looking out to 2027 and 2028, the plan is to hold steady at these new lower levels. Permanent residence targets are set to settle at 365,000 a year, which is meant to be the new normal. By the end of 2027, the goal is to have the temporary resident population locked in at below 5% of Canada's total population, cementing this more restrictive approach for the foreseeable future. So what does all this actually mean for you? The path to Canada hasn't been blocked entirely, but it has become a whole lot narrower and more specific. The question is no longer how can I immigrate to Canada, but is my profile what Canada is looking for right now? The new system is unapologetically playing favorites. If you are a healthcare professional, a nurse, a doctor, a technician, you are at the front of the line. If you are in skilled trade, a carpenter, plumber, or electrician, Canada needs you to build the very homes it's short on. If you have a background in science, technology, engineering, or math, STEM, you are considered vital. And if you speak French, your value has skyrocketed, thanks to aggressive new targets for Francophone immigration. If your profile doesn't nearly fit one of those boxes, the path just got a lot harder. It now requires a strategic pivot. That could mean getting new experience in a high demand field or focusing like a laser on boosting your language scores. For students, it means choosing a master's or PhD program is now a much safer bet than many undergraduate or college diplomas, especially since graduate students may be exempt from the study permit cap starting in 2026. Here is the key takeaway. Canada isn't looking for generalists anymore. It's looking for specialists who can solve very specific problems. Consider this. In 2025, over 40% of all new permanent residents are expected to come from the pool of people already in Canada on temporary permits. The strategy to transition the people who are here filling critical jobs, not to cast a wide net for new applicants from abroad. Success in this new era means aligning your personal career with Canada's new, highly specific national priorities. We are all witnessing a monumental shift in Canadian identity. That long-standing image of Canada as a country with perpetually open arms is being replaced by a more pragmatic and much more restrictive reality. The Great Immigration Reset is here. The numbers are down, the rules are rewritten, and the competition for every single spot, whether for work, study, or PR, is tougher than it's ever been. This isn't about being anti-immigration. It's a recalibration driven by intense domestic pressure on housing and services. The era of endless growth is over. The boom is over. The drawbridge is up. This is a massive change with huge economic and social consequences. So I want to turn the question over to you. What do you think the long-term impact of this immigration reset will be on Canada's economy and its place in the world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.